Yeah, propaganda jukeboxes, I don't bloody know. And, we had some of that last night where some manufactured revelers were coming out with tunes like from yesteryear that they wouldn't really know, which is sort of an indication, yet again, of the type of shit that where people shout at you outside coffee shops to try and be noticed, and attempt to turn it into some sort of Cool Britannia. As happened this morning with a different element, with a couple of different elements to it. Some black music. I don't know what genre. Possibly because I mentioned David Bowie, relevant. What I said. But there seemed to be a bit of Patrick O'Connor's Black and White Army, where some guy was positioned in a way to during the between 96 and 2000 to say certain things that were then taken as gospel, sort of thing, and yet again, propaganda jukebox, but again, yet another attempt for these people, the ad men and women, to try and appear modern by using certain types of genre that I'd guess are pretty current, and the point I think is, well, if they're having to do so much of this sort of stuff to try and make it look anything other, not to have looked around, just anything other than a Hollywood B movie that owes a lot to the 1950s, an ad campaign like with almost no commercials, with the trees and all the rest of it in the 1950s car showroom that goes on around this flat and all the rest of it. It's like, how many resources are the ad men and women gonna chop? I mean, yesterday was a classic example again. Seeing these people and thinking, for fuck's sake, how crazy. But no, this is the way of things, and yeah. But it was good to get. It has been good over time to get more of exposure to the type of stuff that was going on between 96 to 2000. With the Architects and their snowballing effect and their bandwagon effect. Quite fascinating. But yeah, it's like, how many resources? Another thing that's a bit indicative. I mean, the attempts at looking modern, for example, fall flat. Well, they do, from what I know, maybe. I mean, beyond the Hollywood B movie from the 1950s that go on around here, the audience beyond, which I think that the attempts to look modern that was attempted there may not, carry weight with some people beyond the Hollywood B movie sort of thing, the 1950s Hollywood B movie and the rest of it. But anyway, someone on the ward, when they'd been told this is a denouement, like snidely said something like, "Oh, I suppose it's a shrink," sort of thing. And she was one of the good ones. I mean, most of them were the good ones, but she was one of the really good ones. And that was sort of an echo of when I went to the Dole in 2000, isn't it? Wasn't it? Where probably a psychiatric worker. I didn't realise at the time. Said, "So was that the one who said frustrating, isn't it?" Or whatever. It's just like there was that vibe to it. And it's like, yeah, isn't it amazing? So yeah, so I suppose that's a element of showing that, yeah, there's a lot of people who seem to be, really wedded to the architect. That really should be their issue. I mean, like I say, all the resources that have been being chucked at me, all the druggings and shenanigans and the 1950s Hollywood B movie, the 1950s car showroom, the commercial break that owes a lot to the 1950s. It's like if they have to put up so much effort to and throw so many resources to try and look, for example, look modern and look cool Britannia and all that. It's just like I keep trying to say, just get a life and get on with it. But of course, they are stuck with Hollywood B-movie type mindsets that owe a lot to the 1950s techniques, similarly, and all that. And it's yet another day of that sort of thing. But it's nothing major. Again, like I mentioned yesterday, I am drugged up, not least when I'm doing videos like this, because you couldn't, in a total institution like this, you couldn't possibly let someone speak freely. Because you can always characterise it in a myriad of ways, that can bring about that perception that, yeah, I should be doped up to the hilt while I'm making these videos. But anyway, yeah. So, trying to look modern, throwing just about any resource that they can to try and look that way for the wider audience, which is sort of a form of performance, isn't it? That they're engaged in there. There is that element to it. There's the 4 elements. There's a variant characterization. There's a list that I mentioned yesterday. But actually, I could add the Hollywood B movie from the 1950s and the commercial break from the 1950s. And all the rest of it. But yeah, yeah, looks like a nice day out there. They got some sort of stunt going on in the park. Do you know what? Completely not interested. Not for me, that part. It's too small. But yeah, it'd be nice to chill in a flat, with people running around, trying to be noticed, crazies trying to be noticed. Attempts to appear this, that and everything by the admin and women. This morning, modernity on top of everything else, trying to appear to be modern. How anyone could try to make this look modern is beyond me. Maybe that's a clue. Which is one of the reasons I keep pointing out that guy at the coffee shop who deserved to be noticed. Maybe there's a clue, then maybe there's a reason why these people are throwing so many resources and techniques around what they're pretty much lumbered with. I mean, you'll see the difficulties they've got with things like, for example, narrative. They look for epilogues, like the closing stages on that war. Like not only do they imagine that there's taken place an epilogue with that's a big deal, dramatic moment, but then they try to engineer other ones. And again, it's that type of stunt of Wayne Good coming around my house. Good shit. But yeah, yeah. Today I'm going to try and just let the day pass. It's like I said. I'll next month, middle of next month, I'll speak with his shrink, maybe. And we know all this will continue. It's like they're stuck with it. They're stuck with the architects, and it seems, I don't think they're ever going to get away from them. Maybe, because that was something on that ward. The one who went all like the one at the job centre in Worcester in 2000. And like I said, I'll reiterate, she was one of the really better ones. But it sort of is an indication that despite, and it is easy to get taken in by the personalities, and lose sight of the fact that yes, it's an institution. Yes, it's an institution that's tied to business interests, and so on and so forth. And also, like many of us, not necessarily to the extent of Wayne Good, seeking external sources of validation to the extent he did. But I suppose everyone wants to think that they're thought of as okay. But yeah. One other thing I mentioned last night, and that is when people say, take care, and all that sort of thing. Joking aside, it is a damaging term, in my opinion. I'm not going to debate it in this. I'd rather concentrate on things that are of more immediate importance to me. But that's a phrase that really needs to be looked at, because it really is not a wise phrase to use with people and between people. It really isn't, in my view. But anyway, that's pretty much that for now. Drugged up. I'll sit back a bit and think, well, am I gonna stop being drugged up for a bit? You never know these days. So yeah. So no, we might as well accept that this is pretty much baked in to British life, the architect's power, every institution, as far as I can tell. For example, the Perfect Pharmacy not answering the phone this morning, and so on and so forth. That's just the way it is. It's just like instead of sending a load of trees all over the place in the 1950s car showroom and all the rest of it, maybe we should just all accept, well, this is permanent now. It ain't really going anywhere, and it never will go anywhere. It's just like, a regular feature of daily life where people can't throw enough resources to try and keep their ball rolling and try and look modern, and will continue to do so.